grid then up on your screen. Logan Lauder this time will be on pole position. It'll be Caden Simpson sharing the front row with him. Alex Jones and Harry Neeson will be on row 2. Aston Brown and Harris Roberts on row number 3. 7th will be Jack Hutchinson. He's alongside Marley Fisher. Toby Dukes and Morgan Weston complete your 10 runners in our Micro Max class. Now, you'll remember in heat number 2, Harry Neeson won on the track, but the win eventually went to Harris Roberts. Neeson unfortunately disqualified for a spark plug gap infringement, which meant that that kart was disqualified from the standings. So whilst Neeson drove superbly to win on track, he will be not classified from the second heat, which means that's going to severely compromise his final in terms of picking up the points as well. Having a quick look at some of the previous races, we had Honda Cadet, so we've got penalties applied to 3 drivers in Honda Cadet for front fairing and advantage by contact, and it looks like Junior Pro Kart was clear as well. So we'll keep an eye out on Junior Rotax, make sure that everything was okay in that one. So we head towards sorting out our grids for the finals. The better you do in the heats, the further forward you start in your final here at the end of the day. Pick up 35 points for a victory in the heats, and then it goes down by 1 point for the top 3, and then drops down to 30, and then sequentially all the way down for the remaining runners. Down the back straight they come then here as they make their way through, and they'll take the green flag in a few moments' time. Green is down, we're away and racing. Logan Lauder tries to lead around the outside, but it's Caden Simpson from second place who chops across and moves through and into the lead. And keep an eye on everybody else making their way through. Looks like we're cleanly through the first few complex of corners, but we have got a false start flag being waved down there, hence why everybody has bunched back up and will just need to get themselves back into their positions, which we get confirmation on the top of the screen that it is going to be a false start, and the yellow flags are waving on the way round. So it did look like they went quite quickly and then slowed and then went again, so not sure whether that was the reason the starter was not happy with that one, but it's going to be a tough one for Caden Simpson. That after he got a good start, he's going to have to try and do it all over again, but at least he knows that he's got a game plan. Unfortunately, Logan Lauder alongside him probably also knows what that game plan is, because he's just watched it play out in front of him. But we're going to give it another go as they make their way down the back straight once again. Lauder then now on the outside, with the inside as they go over start finish into the tram lines, and Logan Lauder leads them over the line. The green does drop this time, and we are away and racing here in our Micro Max for heat number 3 as they sort themselves out into single file. It's pretty much as they were, but I don't, so they head the way down. Simpson once again getting the jump on Logan Lauder, and he finds a way through. Harris Roberts takes a huge chunk of curb, bounces through down the inside on Harry Neeson. That could leave Neeson open for attack from Alex Jones behind, and Aston Brown, who's made a really good start from towards the tail of the field to take 3 or 4 places and move himself up there. Caden Simpson leading the way from Logan Lauder as they make their way through the Dell for the first time in this 10-minute plus 1 lap heats. When we go to the finals in around about an hour and 15's time, we'll be going to 12 minutes plus 1 lap for all of our classes. Over the line they come then for the first time, with Simpson leading the way from Logan Lauder and Harry Neeson, who's got back past Harris Roberts. There he is in the background in the white and black kart with the flashes of orange on it. Roberts then down into 4th place. Jones in 5th in front of Brown, Dukes, Hutchinson, Fisher and Weston. Your 10 runners. Towards Chandler's for what will now be the second time. Top 7 have broken away ever so slightly. Hutchinson holding on to 8th place from Marley Fisher and Morgan Weston onto the back straight, and Caden Simpson has a few kart lengths to Logan Lauder, who feels the need to go defensive already on Harry Neeson. And Neeson now tries to get to the inside into the hook, and Neeson is through on Logan Lauder. Neeson up into second place, Lauder then down into third. Roberts dragging along Alex Jones and Aston Brown as well. What's Caden Simpson got? Let's say now Harris Roberts and Alex Jones down the inside of Logan Lauder. Not sure if Lauder's got a problem there because he's very, very slow round the Mac Werther's right-hander, and he's lost all the places he was held down. He's gone down into 6th place now behind Aston Brown. He still looks like he's still back up to speed because he's right on the back of Brown. Behind them, Toby Dukes has made his way through onto the back of this one as Aston Brown goes down the inside of Alex Jones. Jones gives him a kart width. They're going to try and run side by side. Jones is going to get more run, but Brown's going to have track position, I think, over start finish. Who appears first? It's Aston Brown in 5th place. Could now be 4th, in fact, with Alex Jones dropping down into 5th. So Jones was slightly in front, you see, 0.03 of a second over the line, but Aston Brown had the line. Three minutes in already then to this third heat, top 3, as Neeson takes a huge chunk of curb on the inside. That's not going to give him the best exit, and now he's going to have to defend to Harris Roberts down that back straight. Does so as Roberts elects not to go to the inside. But yeah, Neeson, I think, in his eagerness to try and get past Caden Simpson, took a huge chunk of curb, which slowed him on exit. He's quick out of the hook, and will now try and get the run on Simpson down towards Surtees. Simpson doesn't go too tightly and defend, just runs all the way around the outside and holds track position, does Caden Simpson. Great bit of driving from Simpson, but now Neeson will have track position on the way back out and moves through. Simpson holding on to second place, though, doesn't manage to closes the door in enough time for Harris Roberts, but that's allowed Aston Brown and Alex Jones to close back up again. And now we have a 5-kart battle for the lead there in nose to tail, with Logan Lauder and Toby Dukes behind. Down the back straight they go. Out of the slipstream comes Aston Brown on Harris Roberts, and through as well comes the 30 of Alex Jones. Roberts loses 2 places at the hairpin. Just couldn't get the door closed before Jones came through. Neeson leading the way from Caden Simpson. And there's a gap back to Aston Brown as well. Brown now sort of in no man's land between this 2-kart battle for the lead, and then another 2 karts for 4th and 5th in Harris Roberts, who's now back in front of Alex Jones. So they've chopped and changed positions once again. Jones back up into down into 5th place, with Roberts back up into 5th. Let's see whether Roberts is close enough. He takes a huge chunk of curb on the inside as well. Bit of a head tap there from Aston Brown, which is his way of saying, please don't overtake me, because down in the background there you see Toby Dukes trying to get past Logan Lauder. If they work together to push onto the back of these 2 in front, they could potentially turn this into a 7-kart battle, but looks like Dukes is quite impatient in his want to get past Logan Lauder. Maybe feels he's got a little bit more pace. Just needs to find a way through, and then we'll see whether he has got that pace to tag on to this back of this 5 in front as Simpson holds on to 3rd, onto 2nd still from Brown in 3rd. Brown takes a tighter run out of the corner and will try and make a dive down the inside into Chandler. Simpson chops across the bows of Aston Brown and does so, and holds on to 2nd place. Brown then back in, holding on to 3rd with Roberts and then Jones still all nose to tail as they once again bounce over them curbs, and this time Aston Brown comes to the inside and the whole train will come down the inside of Caden Simpson. There's going to be very little he can do about this, I don't think, as everybody comes through. Unfortunate there for Simpson as everybody just came down the inside, but now he's on the back of this one. If everybody does something similar next time, he could take full advantage. It could be Brown that isn't able to take advantage the next time they come round, as he has to sort of hold everybody back down the back into the complex as they go into the left and then the right at Mac Werther's. The gap to the leader Harry Neeson is 1.1 seconds. We almost forgot about him. He's disappeared at the front of this one. Is there anything Brown can do? Now he's through into 2nd place to try and close in that gap on Harry Neeson, with Harris Roberts being pushed along by Alex Jones and Caden Simpson in the background. Toby Jukes once again gets alongside Logan Lauder. He's going to be hard on the brakes. Got to get that one stopped though. Lauder's going to get the cut back. Lauder moves back through into 6th place, chopping and changing. The gap is down to 9/10 of a second. We're under a second for the first time, but Brown doesn't get a great exit out of the hook. And potentially fall into the clutches of the 45 of Harris Roberts. And then goes wide out onto the curb, bouncing over. He's going to drop all the way down into 5th place behind Caden Simpson. Under pressure from Harris Roberts, and Aston Brown bounces over the curbs. No contact between them. Just carried too much speed into Matt Werthers. He's still right on the back of this one. He's still in the mix. But now it's Harris Roberts in 2nd place. Jones pushing him down the back straight. Brown immediately coming back down the inside of Caden Simpson, but carries too much speed. Simpson will be back onto the inside in terms of track position. They're still side by side in the background, making their way into the hook. Who's going to come out first? It is Simpson at the moment in front of Aston Brown, 4th and 5th, and they're still side by side, bouncing their way over the curbs on the exit as they head down towards Surtees, and Brown is back into 4th place, but now has almost a second from the battle in front of him. It's really sorting itself out towards the end of this race. 2 minutes remaining. Logan Lauder still holding off Toby Jukes, 6th and 7th between the two of them. So they make their way onto the back straight with 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. And Jones has a look down the inside of Harris Roberts. Roberts is going to try and get the cut back. They'll be side by side, and Roberts is out of the corner with more power. And it was only a matter of meters there that Alex Jones held on from Harris Roberts. Down the bomber straight, which is barely straight if you're actually in a cart, because you're just curving out of the hook and trying to get the cart across the track towards the left-hander at Surtees. 1.3 seconds the gap for our leader, and then back to Harris Roberts and Alex Jones, who swapped positions briefly on the previous lap. I think they've realised now that Neeson is too far away in the remaining minute plus 1 lap for them to do much about it. Lauder this time comes to the inside of Toby Jukes and then chops back across. Needed confidence that Jukes wouldn't be there, and Jukes gets the run out of the corner, and Toby Jukes is through on Logan Lauder. Let's see if he can hold on for half a lap. He's certainly had the pace to stick with. See whether he can start moving away from Logan Lauder, or whether Lauder's going to have more to come back at Toby Jukes in a few moments' time. We'll see how that one pans out. 1.2 now. The gap is ever so slightly coming down, but not enough. I don't think that Neeson's going to be too troubled by this one. Won't start the final from the front row, unfortunately, though, having had that disqualification in the 2nd heat, so that's going to put him further down. He's going to have work to do, but he knows certainly in this one, having come through from the 2nd or 3rd row, that he's got the pace to potentially win a final here at Llandow. Jukes is still in front of Lauder for 6th place as they make their way down that back straight. Harris Roberts currently in 2nd with Alex Jones behind. Jones probably not close enough to actually physically push him down the back straight, but will be close enough that he thinks he could potentially have a last lap move as they head towards that final corner. Harry Neeson leads the way, then the gap down by another 1/10 of a second or so with Harris Roberts in 2nd place. Neeson comfortably out in the lead. The timer has elapsed, so the last lap board will welcome them when they come round this time. Down the hanger straight for the penultimate time. Neeson gets the head down behind the steering wheel, which doesn't take much because he's quite a young and very small driver. Behind him, Roberts and Jones. Another 10th out of Neeson, but the last lap board is out and Neeson is comfortable, and now Harris Roberts will probably switch into defensive mode as they head down towards Surtees. Jones right on the back. Certainly when they head down onto that back straight, onto the hanger straight, expect to see Roberts come right over to the inside to defend the hairpin at the end of the lap. Jones right on the back of the 45 car as they head down towards the Dell and towards Diggers, the final heavy sort of lining up part of this track into the straight line formation. Roberts looks over his shoulder, will now defend to the inside. That was later than I thought he would come across, but he's done enough, I think, to hold on. Neeson out of the final corner to take the victory. They're behind there side by side in the early part of the corner at least. Roberts holds on for second from Jones, with Aston Brown and Caden Simpson is dropped down behind Toby Dukes. So I'm not sure what's happened to Simpson there, because the gap back was around about 3 seconds. So it looks like he's had a last lap excursion in his battle with Aston Brown. So Toby Dukes up into 5th, Simpson in 6th, Logan Lauder in 7th, into Morgan Weston, Marley Fisher and Jack Hutchinson.